The American Civil War was a conflict that took place from 1861 to 1865 between the United States of America, the Union, and the Confederate States of America, the Confederacy. The war was fought primarily over the issue of slavery and the rights of states to secede from the Union. It was one of the bloodiest wars in American history, with an estimated 620,000 soldiers losing their lives. In this script, we will explore the causes, key events, and aftermath of the American Civil War. The causes of the American Civil War. The roots of the American Civil War can be traced back to the founding of the United States. The issue of slavery was a contentious one from the very beginning, with some states favoring its abolition while others saw it as essential to their economic and social systems. By the mid-19th century, the divide between the pro-slavery and anti-slavery factions had become increasingly pronounced, with both sides seeing themselves as defending fundamental American values. One of the main triggers for the Civil War was the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. Lincoln was a member of the newly formed Republican Party, which was staunchly anti-slavery. Many Southern states saw Lincoln's election as a direct threat to their way of life and began to secede from the Union. The first state to secede was South Carolina, followed by Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. Key events of the American Civil War. The American Civil War was fought on multiple fronts, with battles taking place across the entire country. Some of the most significant events of the war include: 1. The Battle of Fort Sumter. This was the first battle of the Civil War, taking place in April 1861. Confederate forces bombarded the Union-held Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina, forcing its surrender. 2. The Battle of Antietam, fought in September 1862. This was the bloodiest single-day battle in American history, with over 22,000 casualties. 3. The Emancipation Proclamation. In January 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring that all slaves in Confederate-held territory were to be freed. 4. The Battle of Gettysburg, fought in July 1863. This was the turning point of the war. Union forces under General George Meade defeated Confederate General Robert E. Lee's army, effectively ending the Confederacy's hopes of victory. 5. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln. In April 1865, President Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Southern sympathizer. Lincoln's death was a devastating blow to the country and marked the end of the war. The aftermath of the American Civil War. The end of the American Civil War marked the beginning of a period of significant change in the United States. The Union's victory meant that slavery was abolished throughout the country, and the Confederacy was dissolved. However, the process of rebuilding the country was a difficult one, with many challenges to overcome. One of the most significant challenges was the question of how to integrate newly freed slaves into American society. The Reconstruction era that followed the war saw significant efforts to rebuild the South and ensure that African Americans were granted the same rights and opportunities as white citizens. However, these efforts were met with significant resistance from white supremacists, leading to a period of violence and unrest. Conclusion. The American Civil War was a defining moment in American history, with far-reaching consequences that continue to be felt to this day. It was a conflict that was fought over fundamental questions of freedom, equality, and the role of government in society. While the war was a devastating and tragic event, it ultimately led to the abolition of slavery and paved the way for a more just and equitable society.